I've always found that doing these interviews is immensely helpful for me because I get to learn from other people and you get to lean over my shoulder and learn as I go along.
I don't necessarily think that there's an expectation that volatility is going to collapse. Maybe it will over time.
It's getting interesting. Do you think it spreads more in this cycle?
I do.
As Bitcoin becomes more popular, its potential to disrupt traditional financial systems and serve as a hedge against inflation continues to become stronger. With increasing institutional adoption, the power of Bitcoin and cryptocurrency in general is becoming more visible in the global economy. For instance, former U.S. President Donald Trump has revealed a new cryptocurrency platform called Defiant Ones, saying it will take on the power of big banks and wealthy financial leaders. Calling himself the crypto president, Trump announced the news on Truth Social and encouraged his 7.5 million followers to join a Telegram group related to the project. While there isn't much information available yet, the platform is being marketed as the future of finance. This development could greatly benefit the crypto market, as Trump's support and intentions to incorporate cryptocurrency into national policy may lead to greater adoption and heightened investor confidence. With a prominent figure like him bringing more attention and credibility to the space, cryptocurrency prices could experience a notable rise as a result. Meanwhile, in a recent interview, Real Vision CEO Raoul invites Corriente Advisors CEO Mark Hart for an insightful and comprehensive discussion that addresses several important topics, including the current state of Bitcoin, its implications in today's financial world, and the broader macroeconomic factors at play. For those of you who don't know him, Mark Hart has recently gained attention for his views on cryptocurrency and its potential to disrupt established financial systems, as well as for his insights into various economic challenges and opportunities. He is often featured in discussions and interviews that explore the intersection of technology, finance, and investment. So now, let us watch the discussion between Raoul and Mark Hart. Stay tuned for this important discussion that you wouldn't want to miss. Before we continue with the rest of the video, do check out Daily 5-Minute Crypto Newsletter with all the latest crypto and Bitcoin news. It's a fantastic analysis of on-chain crypto data and breakdowns. And the best part is it's absolutely free. They'll cover expert predictions, breakdowns of on-chain crypto data, and any breaking news you need to know, all in a nutshell. Click the first link in the description and enter your email to join over 50,000 others in becoming a better crypto investor right now.
Let's talk a little bit about your Bitcoin view. So what is your kind of overarching before we go into all of the other technology and other stuff you're investing in, what's your overall thesis on it? Why does it matter to you?
But I guess to me, and I've talked about this, I think, on here, it's like trying to understand sort of the value of Bitcoin or a value of, any kind of asset and, what makes it, what gives it value. And, I guess the sort of 6 characteristics that I've outlined before, that kind of define the value of any asset or, access, awareness, security, patina, kind of, return on investment, and use as collateral. And, I've talked about this quite a bit, but, where I think we are now is as Bitcoin is kind of continuing to be, adopted, there are a couple of those areas, like, if you think about it, like, to cut back, so like access, how easy is it to access something? And I think that, as Bitcoin is spreading globally, that access is improving, maybe relative to other currencies, other stores of value, et cetera, et cetera. Awareness is continuing to improve, and it's always changes in the 6 factors that will drive the price. Security, obviously, Bitcoin security at this point can be pretty well perfected. One of the problems, like with alternate assets like the dollar, is in fact a lack of security. It doesn't mean that there's no value in dollars, or there won't continue to be value in dollars for a long time, but there's a tax on dollars. I pointed out that I think that tax is the sum of sort of productivity gains and inflation. So that's sort of your bogey that you have to hit, or that's the tax on holding a dollar. So and I'll walk through a little explanation I like to give. If you have a basket of goods that are $100 beginning of the year, 102 at the end of the year, then you've had kind of 2%, CPI inflation. But if productivity gains, non-farm productivity, had been say 2% over the year, then that basket theoretically would have been worth $98 at the end of the year. And so it's that delta is sort of the tax that, holders of dollars are paying right now. With Bitcoin, I guess it's a little over 1% inflation and supply. And so, that security seems to be, much better for Bitcoin. And looking forward with, expected significant deficits and debt to continue to be run up in the developed world, you would expect a monetary policy monetary policies that would facilitate that just debt growth. And that's the world we've been, living in for a long time. But I think that from Bitcoin's perspective and, gold and other types of fixed supply assets do particularly well, kind of in that environment. Patina is just simply the gloss, the feeling maybe that you get by
status, almost
status, right? And it could be, there are different reasons to hold, kind of different assets. Maybe Tesla has been overvalued for a long time because of the personality and the image that Elon Musk puts out. And I think, Bitcoin has some of that. I think though that, and then, return on investment, there's not there can be a return on Bitcoin. Typically you think of Bitcoin as you're holding it in your wallet and it just sits there and inflates. Or you hold it in an ETF and there's a small negative carry holding that, but it benefits. I think that one thing that's interesting though on, return on investment is that, Bitcoin, like on the balance sheet of a corporation or in the hands of a more sophisticated player, is actually worth a lot more than a Bitcoin in an exchange. Or
what do you mean by that?
Well, I mean, for instance, there are companies out there that buy Bitcoin and they hold it on balance sheet. Universally, those companies sort of trade at a premium to the Bitcoin on their balance sheet. So and of course, the volatility of this company is through the roof. So there are opportunities to do, all kinds of things, whether it's, if you have a constant strategy of acquiring Bitcoin, you can, sell puts, and acquire more as it comes into you, or you can monetize that volatility. There's a correlation, obviously, between, interest rate and volatility, and the higher the vol, the higher, demand for, return. So, corporations can either use their Bitcoin and lend it out at a higher rate, or, there's some companies that are out there that are selling, convertible preferred type.
According to Mark Hart, 6 key characteristics define the value of any asset: access, awareness, security, patina or status, return on investment, and use as collateral. Now, as Bitcoin gains wider acceptance, its accessibility and public awareness continue to improve, which may positively affect its market value. Security is an important aspect of Bitcoin's appeal. Currently, Bitcoin is perceived to have a more robust security framework compared to traditional assets like the US dollar. The tax on holding dollars is particularly relevant in this area, as inflation and productivity losses can erode the value of fiat currencies over time. For instance, a basket of goods may cost $100 at the beginning of the year and rise to $102 by the end due to inflation. However, if there have been no productivity gains to offset this increase, the real value of the basket declines. This means that even though you are paying more for the same items, you aren't really getting any additional value for your money. So, essentially, the increase in price outpaces any potential benefits you could have gained from improved efficiency in production, leaving you worse off financially. Now, let's get back to the discussion between Raoul Pal and Mark Hart.
You said that there's more value of this on a corporate balance sheet maybe than in other forms of holding Bitcoin. Do you think we'll see more people using, the banks aren't really allowed to, but do you think at a broader level we'll see people adopting this? There's a company in Japan that's been doing it. There's several smaller companies. Maybe Michael Dell is doing it. We don't know yet. It's getting interesting. Do you think it spreads more in this cycle?
I do.
As an idea?
The success that corporations have had in taking on Bitcoin has been pretty dramatic in stock price performance. been, really incredible. And I think that, a CFO of a company has to think about that tax on dollars as well. And, in a low inflation environment, holding dollars is fine. It makes a lot of sense. Right now, you're going to lose half the value of your dollar in 10 years if it just sits on your balance sheet. So I think that there is an incentive, to protect the balance sheet better, and maybe just using cash isn't the most.
When I talk to some CEOs of some of the largest companies in the world about this, and I'm like, what do you do with the cash on your balance sheet? And they're like, well, usually it's to either acquire other companies or to invest in office space, manufacturing space, whatever it is.
Yep.
And I'm like, but those things go up in line with the debasement of currency, so they get more expensive every year, but your cash doesn't. And they're like, yeah, we understand that our cash is worth less every year, particularly in the assets that they buy with that cash.
Yeah, it's almost mystifying that there hasn't been, much more corporate adoption of Bitcoin on balance sheet. I think part of it has to do probably with the way it's accounted for, where you don't recognize gains in the price of Bitcoin on your balance sheet as earnings, but you do recognize losses. That accounting treatment, I believe, is going to be changing at the end of the year. People have the ability to mark their positions to market. I think that'll be a change. But I think that generally speaking, the psychology, it's kind of tough to go as a CFO of a company or a CEO of a company and do something that's so out of the kind of mainstream. And if you fail, you want to fail together, or most people do. And right now, you're kind of on an island if you're out there, pursuing that strategy. And there are probably a lot of other kind of hidden forces that are, also discouraging corporations from, holding Bitcoin on balance sheet. I mean, the math for a bank, they can't custody a Bitcoin. It eats up their capital for doing it for kind of no return. And that's actually kind of what I was getting at, is the number 6, factor that gives value to any asset is used as collateral. And it was obviously, tulips back in the tulip bubble. It was, the reason tulips, went to mind-boggling prices wasn't because, they were pretty or anything. It was because people were able to use those tulips as collateral to borrow money. So the demand for them increased pretty significantly. It's back, for instance, in during the European sovereign debt crisis, one of the things I was wondering a lot about was why the bonds of different countries that have completely different demographics, different fiscal positions, why are their bonds all trading the same? And the reason is that the European Central Bank will accept any EMU government debt as risk-free. So you can get 100% loan from the ECB against any European bond that you buy. And so Greece ended up defaulting, and it was a 30 some odd cent recovery, but it didn't look like they were going to default for a long time, because why would they if every time they issue bonds, the buyers know that they can take those bonds and immediately post them as collateral to the ECB and receive cash. And then they also know that in future issuances, they'll always be able to get them done and always be able to refinance, because the ECB will always accept it. And so, that use as collateral really can drive kind of exponential moves as any asset goes from not being used as collateral to being used as collateral. The price performance can be pretty, extraordinary. And, one of the things that some corporate companies have done is if you issue a convert, you're not explicitly, but you're not necessarily setting aside Bitcoin as collateral, but it is the Bitcoin that you're planning to buy that effectively is the reason you're able to borrow that money. And in fact, some corporations have been able to specifically, use Bitcoin on their balance sheet as collateral to borrow money. So I think that trend, it's barely begun, and I think that it's likely to accelerate.
So, what are your expectations for Bitcoin's accessibility and public awareness as it continues to gain acceptance? How might this affect its market value? Let us know in the comments below. If you found value in this video, don't forget to give us a thumbs up and subscribe to our channel for your daily dose of crypto news. Thanks for watching. We hope to see you again. For more daily dose crypto news, check out these 2 awesome videos on your screen. Click now and we will see you on the next video.